Oh,
Hello, everyone. This is the Black Eel Podcast.
great start.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know what? My screen did a weird thing, and I was just like, "Oh God, what do I do?"
It
But
was,
anyway,
it
so this is
was
the Black Eel Podcast, starting right now, and these are your hosts, Scott, and Mike's on the other side of me. Um, as you guys are aware, this has been a big week. Actually, it's been a big half of a month, really, um, on every sort of level, in the sense
a
of
lot went
mostly,
on.
yeah, lots going on, and a lot is coming up, which is huge. So, how today is going to look? We're going to be talking about Ahsoka first. That we're going to be talking about episode 3 and 4 and our theories of what's going to be happening in the second half of the series. Then we're going to be moving on to talking about Generation V, specifically the big trailer that came out to get us really excited for what's going to be happening, which I believe comes out definitely at the end of this month. I don't remember the date off the top of my head.
29th.
Um, the 29th, thank you. I knew it was the end of the month. And then we'll be moving on to the final episode of season 1 of My Adventures with Superman. And then we're going to be talking about Marvel, specifically I Am Groot season 2. And then we're going to be playing a little game to make Mike feel bad about himself. It's going to be Guess the Variant. It's going to be so much fun for me. And then we're going to move on to our character spotlights, and we'll be done as always. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Ahsoka episode 3 first, because that one I feel like is going to be very quick. And then we're going to be spending a lot of time on episode 4.
We would start with episode 4 and then go to 3.
No, but what I mean is it's more of the fact, like, it's going to be a quick one. It's because as you said before we started, this episode is so little compared to what happened in episode
Oh,
4.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, as much as it, like, don't get me wrong, episode 3 was good when I first watched it, but comparatively now, it's not junk, but it was just kind of like, oh, okay.
yeah. It was an episode.
Yeah, it was an episode that existed.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 3, it's where it's where Sabine is being trained as a Jedi again, specifically lightsaber training um, on the ship. And she seems
She's getting lightsaber training and trying to. And Ahsoka is trying to get her to connect with the Force.
correct. And one of the things that kills me is she has shown no signs of force ability at all.
Yep.
And here's the thing: even in Rebels, I mean, granted, it was never even thought of that she would have that ability, anyway. But in in Rebels, she never showed any signs of force abilities, and then obviously in Ahsoka, we have not seen any either. Um,
Yeah, so I know when we in the last podcast we had talked about this a little bit about how we brought up about how she never had any force abilities and whatnot, and we had talked about like what the definition of a Jedi was and what all that
yes.
stuff was. So obviously I was incorrect with that. With they're going down the route of the force exists in everybody. You just have to know how to connect to it. So anybody can connect to it with the proper training and obviously with some natural abilities versus not. So, you know,
I,
obviously they're trying with the Ahsoka is trying to get Sabine to be able to learn how to connect to it, and it kind of goes along with the idea that because she's Mandalorian and has such strict training, which I believe you had mentioned as well, they just trained her to not be able to connect it and suppress her force abilities.
and that's it. So this is the other thing too. So I agree with you on all of that because one, I did say it, but two, the other thing that I want to say on that is, I think also the big piece that we forget too is the Mandalorians didn't know what not the, now hear me out on this. It's not that they don't know what the Force is, but they wouldn't recognize Force ability anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like watching, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as weird as it sounds, even though they know what a Jedi is and what a Force user is, and I'm putting that in quotes, it's more the fact that she wouldn't have been trained that way, and she would have been forced to focus only on the here and now, and not. She would. I think the big thing too is she's thought she, in a military stance, the way the Mandalorians are trained, I believe it's always thinking of the next step. And in the way of using the Force, you can't necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm explaining it wrong, but I think the ideology of being a Mandalorian and being a Force user are so vastly different.
Yeah, they clash with each other.
Doing one negates the other. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do both.
Well, I mean, just right off the bat, I mean, if you're looking at it in terms of like the religious standpoint, a Jedi is a keeper of the peace, whereas Jedi keeper of the peace, Mandalorian is literally a war culture.
Mm,
So it's right off the bat, they like you said, they just don't mash. So everything about each other is going to be polar opposites.
correct, and that could be part of the reason why she couldn't connect to the Force.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I'm not saying that she still couldn't have, like, she could still have Force abilities. I don't think she's going to be a powerful Force user, although I don't think we ever thought that was going to be the case anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really. I think it's an interesting one because it's. I don't think she's going to be super powerful. She's not going to be on the level of like Anakin. She's not going to be on the level
No.
of Ahsoka. She's not going to be on the level of even Ezra. Um, but she will be a powerful Jedi in the terms of because of her culture as a Mandalorian. Being so determined, being so focused, like that. In that retrospect, she could make a great Jedi because when she gets her target, that's going to be it's going to be her target until either one of them is completed, like her falling or her objective is finished.
I was going to say the only thing I can see her doing well with the Force is potentially like enhancing her combat ability.
Yeah,
I can't
like she's a
picture her.
great warrior
No,
already.
no, and she
So
is, and I'm not. By no means do I want to denounce that whatsoever. I'm just stating, like when you think about if she had Force abilities, right? Her throwing stuff around doesn't make any much sense to me. You know what I'm saying? What really makes sense to me is using it to like balance herself, to be able to go forward faster, faster strikes. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of
mm,
stuff.
yeah,
Which there is a form of that, and I can't remember which form it is. I think it's four. Am I correct? What was the one that Yoda uses?
I don't remember. I
But
don't
anyway,
remember all the forms.
but anyway, no, no. I think there's like six or seven. Um,
Yes, there's
but
seven.
there are seven. Okay, but anyway, the point I'm making is it's more of the one where it's going to like enhance her reflexes that she would be most effective
You
with.
are correct. It is form four.
Perfect. Now she will not be able to use it to the extent of the way Yoda does for obvious reasons, but even just using it a little bit will enhance her combat skills immensely. But anyway,
On a side note, I was looking at it. Form four, alternate names: Ataru, Way of Way of the Hawkbat, or the Aggression form.
which is hilarious to me that it's called the aggression form,
It
but I
is.
think, but I think it's called that because of Vader using it. Because it wasn't called that because of Yoda using it.
No, I'm pretty sure it is because the aggression form is terms of like just going all out. You are very aggressive in your combat because you are just constantly moving.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, so that would be my thought on that front. But anyway, so she doesn't do great. I mean, she has the basic forms down, she has the basic strikes down, but she's not doing phenomenal. And the droid makes it very clear that she's not doing well.
Yes. Darth Vader's lightsaber form is form five.
Well, isn't he a master of all seven?
No.
I thought he was trained in all of them.
All Jedi are trained in all forms of combat. They just master one.
I thought he mastered all of them.
No, I do not believe so.
You know what? Maybe he was trained in all of them, and the ones he
I,
did best are four and five. Because there was more than one form that he does really well.
if I remember correctly, Obi-Wan used form three,
Correct.
which is the defensive combat, and Anakin, because obviously Obi-Wan is his master, so he learned that one, and that one was a That one was a struggle. So he, because he's obviously super aggressive. Um,
No, not Anakin. But but
I
yeah,
want.
so Sabine does not do well in her training. Um, and like I said, the droid makes it very clear that she was not doing a good job.
In fact, he states that she is the worst Jedi to candidate in the history of in his time as a tutor.
Yeah, which is so weird to me because earlier, was it this episode or was it the episode before where he was like, just because like she should still be trained. You know what I'm saying? Like he vouched for Sabine, but is like bashing her severely in this episode.
Such
It's
sass.
it's yeah. Well, all droids are sass, but especially apparently in this universe, or this timeline. But yeah,
Okay, so um, a quick side tour just to go over the combats because I always forget them. So we're gonna have a quick refresher. Form one is called Shi Chao. It is the oldest known form of lightsaber combat. It was a simplistic style that balanced traditional maneuvers intent on maiming and killing with a focus on disarming an armed foe and was used against multiple opponents.
I would
Um,
assume that would be like basic sword fighting.
yeah, and says it was popular form among Padawans in the Jedi Order. Form
Obviously.
2 is called Makashi, a style regarded for its elegance, graceful presentation, and balletic approach in wielding a lightsaber.
I'm
It was
surprised
notable.
Ahsoka doesn't do it that use that form.
Huh?
I'm surprised Ahsoka doesn't use that form. I
It,
understand why. I'm just saying in general.
it was notable for its primary focus on facing a single opponent, preventing disarmament, and quick, very precise strikes. Form 3 is Sorensu, a defensive style that utilizes tight, controlled movements and strict economy of action. Practitioners of this form focused on defense entirely and in any situation and committed to analyzing their opponent and openings created often from the frustration and fatigue of the enemy.
Ooh.
Um, Form 4, Ataru, an acrobatic and aggressive lightsaber combat style that replaced greater emphasis on using the Force to enhance movements in all areas of combat and required great room to attack from all directions. Due to its nature, it was considered a demanding fighting style both physically and through the Force. So,
Yes.
just by the description, does not fit Vader's style whatsoever.
Continue.
I thought you were going to have some kind of comment, but okay.
No, 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 because my whole idea was he was slower because of his armor. That's why he used that form. He used the force to move himself faster, was what I thought.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you're, it's more along when it's like, it's just meant to be so aggressive. Like, it's just supposed to be
Yeah,
like,
so it probably, all right, so it makes sense that he probably used the force to move around, but
yeah,
not necessarily that form. I just
yeah.
assumed because he was doing it that was he was using that form.
So Form 5 is called Shien or Jiamso. Uh, Two fluid disciplines of lightsaber combat, which we consider physically demanding styles due to their requirement of quick transitions from dedicated defensive stances to an all-out attack.
Oh, that makes more sense. So okay, it is two different forms, but now it's its own form.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what messed with me. Okay,
it takes the previous two
it's
and puts
three
them
and
into
four.
one.
It's 3 and 4 combined makes 5, because
Yeah.
apparently 3 + 4 = 5. Yes, I have a problem.
The Xi'an variant emphasized blaster redirection, and practitioners could utilize a reverse blade grip. The GM So variant
Is
taught
that a
users.
6?
No, this is 5.
Oh, this is still 5. Sorry.
I'm going. It's more description. The GM So variant taught users maneuvers for saber to saber combat and blaster deflection. Form 6 is Ni Man. Considered the most popular lightsaber combat form in the Jedi Order, it balanced the qualities presented in all the other forms, but did not incorporate any notable strengths. Less demanding than all the other previous combat styles, it approaches its approach was a careful balance between offense and defense, but leaned towards the latter and extensive integration of force powers. And Form 7 is called Juyo, or otherwise known as Vapad. Uh, Considered the most aggressive and unpredictable form, and therefore the most controversial, it was a combat style with a history of the Jedi High Council forbidding it and later allowing only select users to practice the style. It was a style considered both physically and emotionally exhausting. The GU variant focused on aggressive assault and a mindset that drew upon anger and negative emotion to fuel the relentless assault. This mindset caused many users to fall to the dark side of the Force or close to it. The Vapad variant, developed by Mace Windu, similarly drew upon anger and passion but required the user to not give in to them. This style characterized by rapid, frenzied strikes and powerful blows. However, it was not as reckless in nature as Juyo.
Interesting. So Mace Windu was the closest one to Form 7 that we've seen.
Yeah, Mace Windu was the only one to utilize the Force 7. He basically used the Force 7 in his advantage because he was so close to the dark side. He had a lot of anger and aggression that he was able to master it but still keep it under control.
So do you think Ahsoka is Form 5? Based on based on how it was described, the backhand lightsaber, because normally she has one lightsaber forward hand and one back.
Yeah. I think if you have the backhand, no matter what, you're going to be part of some kind of variant of Form 5. Obviously, it's just like the mindset of it, and everyone puts their own spin on it, and have their own masters of it.
Yeah, so no two Form 5s are the same.
Actually, my bad. There's one more variant. It's called Jar Kai. The method...
We ask for you to give us everything, and you fail. What did you forget?
You decided to start talking.
I did.
Jar Kai is the method of using two lightsabers during combat.
Which form is this? Or is this just a...
It's called Jar Kai. It doesn't have a form. So the method of using two lightsabers during combat, be they single blades or double blades altogether, variants of Jar Kai included utilizing more than two single-bladed or double-bladed lightsabers at the same time, depending on the psychological or technological capabilities of the combatant.
You could have two double-bladed lightsabers? How the heck would that happen?
I don't know how you would be able to control that.
You're cutting something off at that point. I mean, it's bad enough you see Darth Maul and the Inquisitors out there, but man, I mean, I can understand like one double-bladed lightsaber, but two of them? No, I'm out. I'm out. I can't do that. I mean, I can't do a lot, but that's something I'm missing a limb. I'm missing a limb for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All of a sudden, I'm gonna need like robotic knees because I sliced both of them off again.
But anyways, back to the video.
So yeah, so Sabine did not do well. Basically, the main point of this episode was Sabine is not good with the Force, is not good with her training as a Jedi, which shouldn't be all that shocking, in my personal opinion, based on just in general how she acts and everything else. That being said, we then have them being attacked by a bunch of, I don't know what kind of ships they are. Are they TIE fighters? Were they TIE fighters? They were just enemy ships.
Enemy ships. I'm just going to call them enemy ships. I don't remember the fighters.
So it looked like there was the Inquisitor, the Apprentice, and then a bunch of other people.
A bunch of minions.
Yeah, because you can't really say stormtroopers, but you all get the point.
I don't think they're stormtroopers because they're the Night Sisters followers. So I'm not gonna.
I know, but you understand what I'm getting at. But she follows the Empire. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a weird thing. It's in that leeway area where nothing's. It's way too fluid. Like you probably would have been considered a stormtrooper, but now they don't exist because the Empire doesn't exist fully. So it's like they're just minions. So Ahsoka and Sabine start blasting them, and Sabine does okay. I mean, she does take a bunch of them out, but then Ahsoka goes out there in her spacesuit, and her spacesuit with the tentacles and everything messed with me. Like she had the suit that like perfectly fit her hair. or her
Hey, you need a
headdress.
custom outfit. What are you gonna do?
I know. It's just I think I was just surprised. Anyway, and then she started slicing through fighters like it was nothing. I was very impressed.
I liked that scene.
Honestly, I was very impressed. And then they had to. So they found out that there was this ship that is unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Well, they thought it was a hyperspace ring, which technically was.
Yes, but what I'm getting at is it's still technically a ship.
Yes.
So the big thing
The Eye of Sion.
was that what they called it?
I believe so.
Probably. But anyway, so they see this thing and they're like, and it's by the way, it's not 100% functional yet to do what they want it to do. So anyway, they actually their power gets shut down. They have to then boost
Yes.
themselves up, and then they crash onto the planet below. And now they have to wait out and try to get help from Hera. Well, they're trying to get a message to Hera.
The new
Um,
Republic.
Yes, but specifically Hera. They're specifically wanting her. Because let's be real, if they contact anybody else, nobody's going to help them. It's sad but true.
Yep.
Um, so,
Which that led to their conversation led to Hera confronting Mon Mothma and other council members, which you know don't want to piss off Hera.
no, and you know what kills me on that one, too? Is the fact that they're like, we don't want another war. It's like, well, if you don't want another war, then you need to stop it.
Yep. And you
You know
saw
what I
it
mean?
before. It really goes to show how post-war fatigue of the new Republic had, and how scared they were of everything, and how like in actuality how they had like no power.
Well, no, they as soon as the Empire got destroyed, they spread everything so thin. I would imagine just trying to try to make sure that all aspects of the Empire no longer exist, or the Imperial, the Imperials. But at the
Mhm.
same time, they didn't have that many resources. I mean, they took out their biggest threat, yeah, but at the same time, they didn't gain any more resources. You know what I'm saying? Like they were run down, and I do get that they were definitely fatigued. But I think one of the big things that they underestimate too is the fact that, and I think this is something we underestimate too, that they could easily, from their perspective, take it as Hera wanting her kid back. You know what I mean? Like Ezra. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because they know her connection to Ezra, and so the only reason why she's wanting to find Thrawn in their minds is because she wants to find Ezra, which nothing against Hera or Hera and Ezra's like relationship. Yes, she would like to see him, but if given the choice of like getting rid of Thrawn or saving Ezra, she's getting rid of Thrawn. You know what I'm saying?
At
And
the end of the
nothing.
day, she knows the mission objective, and she's gonna go with the objective.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's gonna try to make sure her plan does the least amount of damage to him. But my
Mm.
point I'm making is she knows what the main plot is right now. We need to get rid of Thrawn. That's what they're going to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to me, I think they underestimated how emotional she is, or they overestimated how emotional she is, because Hera is the most level-headed, in my opinion. Like when I say level-headed, she can put feelings aside when dealing with a mission
Hmm.
better than anybody else on the Ghost Squad.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, yeah.
I mean, Sabine was a close second for a while, but even then, she had her emotional issues too, of like not knowing what's going on. People don't respect her, blah blah blah. But I mean, Hera has always been level-headed in that sense. Now, don't get me wrong; she can fly off the handle. That is very true, and that is a scary thing to see.
We saw it. We saw it in Rebels after she lost Kanan.
Yeah. But also too, I think the other thing too was the fact that she's a general, and they're basically like knocking her down, was kind of surprising to me. But then again, I don't know. It's kind of tough because it's like, how, this is where it gets really weird for me too, because we only see this aspect of it, right? So we haven't seen Hera since the end of Rebels, and there's a
Yeah.
long time between Ezra leaving and Ahsoka.
Yep.
So we don't know how many times she's gone up to the council looking for Thrawn. You know what I mean? This could have been like the 47,000th time she's done this.
This is true. Well,
And it,
I don't think so because I think at the beginning, at least at the beginning, they definitely were going looking for Thrawn, or are you looking for Ezra? Maybe not necessarily for Thrawn, but looking for Ezra.
no, that's fair. I agree.
And they're under the belief that because it's been so long,
They're both dead.
they never came back. They're both dead. So now, after all of these years, they've exhausted they exhausted their resources looking for these two individuals, and now all of a sudden you get like a little bit of a clue, and you're going to be using Thrawn as an excuse to go after Ezra, like you said, because I don't think at the beginning they were really caring about Thrawn.
No, because the Empire was the bigger threat and Thrawn wasn't around.
Yep.
But no, but you understand what I'm saying. I feel like we're taking it from what we've seen, and it was kind of like a diss to Hera. But at the same time, we don't know what was happening in that time gap too.
You are
And
correct.
I think that's one thing that I wanted to bring up just because of that reason, because that might justify why they're acting the way they are. But I do agree with you that a lot of it is very much like you said. They're tired. They fought enough. And granted, I get that piece, but you gotta.
I mean, this is. I mean, this is honestly very remnant of like bringing it into the real world of post World War One to World War Two, because after World War One, there were tons of hints about Hitler and Germany rebuilding themselves, and the Allied forces were just like, "No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We don't want another war, so we're not going to confront anything because we don't want to start another war."
No, you're absolutely right.
And that instead just made it so much worse because the war ended up being that much bigger because they refused to step in to.
They let them grow.
Yeah.
They let them
And that's
become
exactly
a
what's
superpower.
happening here because instead of like here's all these hints that this is going on, and they're like, no, it's fine. We'll let them be. They're not going to be a threat. If we let them do this, they'll just leave us alone. And
No, and I agree with you. It was just a little bit of surprise because of how much we respect Hera.
Mhm.
So anyway,
and
so
we
that
find out we finally saw him.
yeah, we
He
finally
made
see
an
the kid.
appearance. Yep, the kid.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's exactly what I was like. I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't. I wasn't as excited to see him as I thought I was going to be. But I think it's just. I think it's just because he hasn't done anything yet.
What's he gonna do? He's a little kid.
Oh, really? Grogu? What about the little Mandalorians?
Okay, all right. Don't you dare try to bring in Grogu because he ain't no kid.
He is too. For his race, he is a child.
He
He is
is
a baby.
50
He is a
years
baby.
old.
That is 5 years. That is 5 years old in his species. Okay, that is the equivalent of a 5-year-old. So do not play that game with me. He is 50, which means he is 5 years old.
Okay, we'll let it go.
All right. My point I'm making is, I can't imagine us not seeing this kid do something, whether it be seeing force abilities later on or something we're gonna see because they're not really putting a focus on him, and I understand why because it is Ahsoka's show, but he is the child, the next generation of the rebels.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and again, I'm not saying he's going to be a Jedi. I'm not saying he's going to work for the Republic. I'm just stating that he's destined to. I want to see him with a lightsaber, and then I want to see him lose. Not die, lose. There's a difference.
Wow. All right.
Because you're not going to be good. He's only, what, 10 years old?
I don't know. I don't know how old he is. Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, you could be like Anakin and just get the easy XP and go for the kids. Too soon or too real? Too soon or too real?
Can we quickly detour saying that you brought that up about that horror video game that I saw on Twitter about how you play as the kids trying to hide from Anakin going through the Jedi Temple.
No,
I want that game.
No, I'm 100% out.
Oh, you're not out. You're in. I wanna go around as Vader, hunting you down and hearing you cry. When...
You just see me standing there as a little boy going, "You do not see me right now. I am not a child. I am a stormtrooper. I'm sorry, I am a clone trooper." Too soon. And then all of a sudden, just, oh,
And I can just picture you, like all of a sudden I'm walking by, I don't see you, and I just hear you
all
screaming.
you hear
"I
is
gotta
this.
go!"
Just, oh wait, no, he's. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have that yet.
He
Never
doesn't
mind.
have that. No.
Well, that ruins it. That'd be hilarious, though. The DLC is going to be that he's Vader,
Yeah.
and you just hear the clicking. Um, yeah, no, yeah, but it wouldn't make any sense because Anakin would be able to sense every. Oh, well, no, he didn't kill all of them, so I guess. But no, he did. He killed everyone there. We're assuming.
No. We saw in Obi-Wan that not all of them died.
Oh, and technically, we saw in the Mandalorian too. Oh no, that was just Order 66. Never mind. I'm thinking of
Oh,
Grogu.
Grogu. Well, I mean, he escaped, so.
No, and a few of them did escape, but I'm just saying in general, it's just. But anyway, yeah, no, that would be a cool game. As much as I say I wouldn't play it, I'd play it way more than I should. Uh, but yeah, no, it's interesting seeing these characters now all grown up, but also seeing them live action because it changes a little bit. And what I mean by changes, it gives it more realism, in my opinion, because before it was just a cartoon. You know what I mean? And not by no means was it because I thought Rebels was incredible. Because we discussed this before. I mean, the animation kind of wasn't on par, like it wasn't the greatest, but the story was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And I do have to say, like, I love those characters more than Luke Skywalker and Anakin. You know what I'm saying? Like, and nothing against the main characters of the series that started it all, but these characters like really made me really love Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Rebels did such a great job connecting you to the characters that the other forms of media just had never been able to do to that point.
Agreed. No, 100% agreed. And seeing them in action was great. And so at the end of this episode, they crash landed on a planet that they can't get off of. And then we start with the episode that really just blew my mind. Mike couldn't walk for a week. It was incredible. So the episode starts.
I could not resist myself after watching this episode. I had to
As
text
soon
you.
as you texted me, I was like, "Oh gosh, it's something crazy happened," and I'm like, "Don't think about it." I was literally, as soon as I got the text, I was like, "I know what he's talking about, but don't think about it." And then I kept thinking about it. I was like, "Don't think about it. Don't think about it."
I'm like watching the episode, and I'm just like, and I text you, and when you respond with, "I'm not watching it until tomorrow," I'm like, dude.
I know. Well, because I have it scheduled in my head that it's Wednesday, and it's not. It's Tuesday. Um, but anyway, no. First off, this episode was incredible. So there was one specific part that we'll get into in a second, where I thought that was the text message, like that was the moment you sent me that, right? And then then the end happened. I went, oh no, this was it. This was the one. Because there was one moment that happened that I was, and we talked about this briefly before we started, and I was like shocked because I was like, this was not at all what I was expecting, and I was like, this has got to be the thing he's talking about. Nothing could top this, and then it did, and I was like, ugh. And then, were you the one that sent me the message that this next episode is going to be in theaters?
Yes, I did.
All right, you were the one.
So I can only imagine what this
Like
episode
I
would
just,
be.
it's got to be huge. It's got to even be bigger.
Yeah. Like, what could it be that it's going to be so big that it needs to be put into theaters?
I know.
Right?
So
Oh,
so let's tell everyone what this episode was before we.
before we get too excited.
Yeah, we're already excited. So this episode starts with them trying to fix the ship, and so the droid goes out and starts repairing the ship on the outside. And while this is going on, Balin, is that how you say his name? Baylor or Balin?
Balin.
Balin, thank you. He's basically ordered to hunt down Asuka. So they explain to them that, you know, our enemy is out there, go find them. Very simple order, but, you know, life is life. So they find the ship. I'm assuming it's got to be the only ship on that planet. Um, they find it, and then it was a droid versus droid. And then which was actually really cool, I'm not going to lie.
I loved that. Like
I was
in my
actually
head,
impressed.
I knew he like I know he's a Jedi trainer, so like obviously he would be able to fight, but like for some reason I just wasn't expecting it. So all of a sudden he gets jumped and he just starts like absolutely fighting
Well, like
back and holding
he
his
got
own. I'm
jumped,
like,
but it was like he acted as if it was like he knew the fight was coming. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so bizarre to me, but like it made sense as we talked about. So he shuts off the power to the ship, and Sabine is like, "Oh, that was stupid of him. I guess he made it worse." And Ahsoka's like, "He wouldn't do it on purpose. Let's go."
yep.
And Sabine's just like, "Oh, okay." Um, so then they go run out there and they start slicing through these droids like they were nothing. And we see Sabine in full Mandalorian outfit taking out these droids like Mandalorian style, right? I mean, like pulling them in, smashing them down, pulling them in so Ahsoka could slice them. Oh,
I loved
beautiful.
that double team with them. The fluidity that they had.
I think my personal favorite of that scene is when they finish the fight and the droid's like, "Hey, when you guys go, like stick together because you guys clearly do well together."
Yep. And
Um,
I loved seeing that the how proud Ahsoka was of Sabine, and after that, like you're just like seeing her
oh yeah.
the smile of approval.
And so then they run, right? And they get stopped by the Inquisitor and the Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
So Sabine goes after the Apprentice, and Ahsoka goes after the Inquisitor. So they start fighting. Originally, Ahsoka starts. I mean, not Ahsoka. Sabine starts fighting the Mandalorian way, I should say, blasters, weapons, and stuff like that. And then she takes out the lightsaber, and they go psh, psh, against each other. Yep, I did that just to be a jerk. So in the fight, literally 2 feet away, probably more like 10, Ahsoka versus the Inquisitor. And the thing that gets me is she slices him right through the chest, right? And this moment was a moment, what?
She was only using one lightsaber as well.
Yeah, which I was surprised about, but you're right. She's been, since we've only seen her use one, right? In this series? No, no, that's incorrect. That episode was the only episode she only used one lightsaber.
So apparently, what I've been seeing is that so as of late, she only uses one lightsaber when in one-on-one combat. She uses two if she's getting attacked by multiple enemies.
Which is why she had two out when the droids were out.
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay. So anyway, so it's a one-on-one fight, so she only uses one lightsaber. Now she uses her bigger lightsaber. Because apparently size does matter. So, you hate me for it, but it's accurate. Ask Ahsoka. So, she leaves the small one away. She only uses the small one when there's more than one person around. So, I hate me for it too, but it is hilarious. So, she starts fighting this guy and she slices him through the chest, right? Now, granted, realistically, would it have been a fatal blow? Probably. It's really tough to say. But what happened next was what shocked me. Because what happened, Mike? Green smoke came out.
He
Which
is a Night
means.
Brother.
Well, no, it was the Night Sister that created him.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't really exist. He was dead already.
Yes. A Night Brother.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a Night Sister and a Night Brother.
Oh, I didn't register that because I thought the Night Brother was like Darth Maul.
Yeah, Savage and Darth Maul are Night Brothers.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm getting at is he wasn't a real creature. He was made by magic. He was already
Oh,
dead.
yes.
No, no, no.
Yes.
What I'm getting at is, all right, I agree with you on the fact that he would be a Night Brother, yes. But what I'm getting at is he wasn't alive. He was
Oh,
brought
yeah.
back by Matt. Yeah. So anyway,
Mhm.
when he got sliced open and his suit got ripped open, he turned to green smoke and disappeared.
He
Which,
disintegrated because the magic wore off.
quite literally. Um,
as soon as so when during the fight, I see we're going through the fight. I'm like, okay, this is going like obviously Ahsoka's gonna
We
they're
knew.
gonna get away.
Well, no, my whole thing was during that fight, I knew we were going to find out who the Inquisitor was.
Yes.
I was like, there was no way we're not going to know. And then it happened, and I was like, oh,
So I knew instantly when the fight was over. As soon as I saw him start spinning the lightsaber, because I'm like, well, that's classic Inquisitor losing fight scene. He
no,
starts
no,
spinning.
that's fair, and I will agree to you on that one. And the fact that she just stood there waiting, I knew it was going to be the last swing.
Mhm.
But my point I'm making was, I knew at that moment we were going to find out who he was. And
Yes.
then we found out, and I was like, I just
No,
wasn't. I
I
can
did not
honestly say,
expect that.
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. That was one thing I was not expecting at all. So then Sabine tells Ahsoka that she's got this. Just go. Like you find the map. I got this handled. Because
Shin was also very in a lot of shock that the Inquisitor was defeated,
yes,
which actually surprises me because that's clearly how powerful he was and how much just like I said, just her being shocked by his defeat says a lot about what he is.
correct. No, 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 and I agree with you on that one. So Ahsoka runs off, and Sabine continues their fight with the apprentice, and it does not go well. Now it doesn't go horrible, I will say,
She
but it
holds
does.
her own.
No, no, she does. She definitely does better than her first fight with the apprentice for sure. But in the end, the apprentice actually gets away because she uses a smoke bomb, which really irritated me. Um, she pulled a Batman, and I'm not happy about it.
You missed it. You were missing one important part. Eventually, they're going back and forth, and Shin gets the advantage and knocks down Sabine. She loses the lightsaber, and Sabine goes for a forced push.
Oh
Whether,
yeah, 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 you're right.
but
So she goes to the
and
force
then
push, and then she's like, "Oh, you're not even a force user. You have no power."
she realizes that she actually has no power, and then Sabine does a trick with a blaster out of her, like a blaster, which honestly I loved. Like I loved that whole sequence, and it
No, it
just
was good, and that's when the apprentice gets away. So then Sabine gets up and tries to go find her.
yep.
Now she's slow to start because there was still the smoke around, so she wanted to make sure she wasn't going to get sneak attacked. But once the smoke cleared, she realized she just ran away. So then she goes after her. So we
And then
have
we cut to Balin and Ahsoka meeting up.
actually. So there's something that happens before that. Now, very quickly, um, Balin is actually talking with the Night Sister, who they're already about, I want to say, a quarter of the way or halfway done at
Quarter.
this point. Quarter of the way. And she goes, okay, you can handle this from here. I'm going to go up to the ship and I will send a shuttle when you're ready. Protect the map at all costs. So
Yep.
she leaves. And that's when he's just standing there leaning on a piece of rock, waiting. And who shows up but Ahsoka? Shocker. And so the two of them start talking, and I'm not going to lie to you. This interaction kind of messed with me a little bit because Balin knows Ahsoka and knows Anakin and that he turned into Darth Vader.
Yep.
Now, the reason why that's a surprise to me is because of so few people knew that.
Yeah, that's the one of the that is one of the biggest secrets in the Empire.
Agreed. So the fact that this guy knew that already shocked Ahsoka a little bit. Now, not shocked her enough to miss her composure, but it was more the fact when he starts talking about how she left him, and that's why he turned to the dark side. And that's when she's like, "We're not here to talk about my past. We're here to talk about the future."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time we see her a little bit of shaken.
Yeah. No, he knew how to get into her mind, and
He did so,
he did so.
and it definitely
And
showed in the fight too.
yes,
She was not fully there.
no,
No,
she did not know how to go about him. I don't think she was prepared for his skill level,
she wasn't
which
prepared for his skill level, and she was not prepared for his knowledge either.
yeah,
All of that combined messed with her because she wasn't at her full mental game because he threw her off with knowing exactly who she was, but also who Anakin was, and that he became Darth Vader,
mm-hmm.
and basically blaming her for Anakin being Darth Vader,
Yep.
which really is messed up. But I get his point. Uh, If anyone's to blame, it's Palpatine, and he's dead. So, well, spoiler alert, he's not. Um, I don't know. It's tough to tell if he is or not at this point. Um, his main body is in shambles. Let's say
Well, he's still alive because his essence is transferring from
clone to clone,
clone to clone, so he's alive. Just
just not in a stereotypical way.
yeah.
But anyway,
But we go into they finally start. They stop talking. They
and they
begin their
start fighting,
fight, and
and
that
so they
fight was wasn't much, but just the like
it was so weird to me. So like it was first off it was beautifully like choreographed, but I think like the certain fighting that they did, like when she put her foot on the rock to defend herself, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it was minor stuff like that that made me just go, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so well executed, but you're right, it wasn't anything huge, but it told a story.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it told such a great story for the
It
little
did.
bit that it was, and like I loved it. Like she was trying, like his style was something that we hadn't seen before. It seemed like it was more like a fight, like a medieval knight kind of thing, where he's holding his
Yes.
stance up like that. A slow opponent, but could actually have hit a few quick maneuvers if need to, and she tried to like as you're seeing like in when they're getting ready to actually fight she Ahsoka is mimicking Balin's fighting style, like his stances. Like he when he goes up, she goes up.
Yeah.
When he like moves, she mimics him, and uh, tells a little bit about like her stance and like how her mindset is with reacting to unknown circumstances.
Correct.
But
Because the best way to understand it is to copy it.
yeah,
I mean, it's so
and
true.
I like they go through the fight and she gets an advantage for a little for like a few minutes, and once she finally gets advantage she goes and grabs the map, which ends up burning her hand, which puts
Which,
her at a disadvantage for the
yeah,
rest
which
of the
kind
fight.
of surprised me. I wasn't expecting.
I was very surprised by that. I didn't know what was going on with that, but
Yeah, when she
I'm
yelled and
guessing
screamed, I thought
maybe
it was like magic, but I guess I don't know. I mean, it still could have been.
I'm guessing that because, like you said, that like with the magic, the fact that the map was activated, it was being used, so like the energy flowing through it, like
What
burned
heated it
her,
up?
and
Yeah.
then once after she dropped it, like it cooled off. Um, but the fight goes on. The turning point was finally when they were at the end, and Balin was basically mocking her and saying that like your legacy is similar to Anakin's, how it was destruction. It's not peace. That's all the Jedi Order is destruction. And the final blow for Ahsoka was when Shin came out of the woods and was and Ahsoka saw her and not Sabine, and like you saw how upset she was that she thought Sabine had died.
Well, so here's the other thing too. So she then slams the apprentice into the wall and
Sure.
knocks her out. And I put that in quotes because she was definitely knocked down. I don't know if she was necessarily knocked out. Um, and then Sabine comes,
Sabine comes and retrieves the map. Um,
and then that's when Balin strikes down Ahsoka.
he kicks her off. Does
Yeah.
not strike her down. He kicks
Oh
her
no, he hit it.
off the cliffs.
Well, no, he hits her with the lightsaber. Now he doesn't touch her. He hits lightsaber to lightsaber, but then he kicks her.
Yes. No. Yeah. Well, when you say strike down, I think of like
Oh,
the
like
strike down.
no, no, no. Sorry, no, you're right. You're right. Um, and then Sabine decides to give him the orb because he played her like a fiddle. He's like, I know you want to save Ezra. Well, guess what? You give me the orb, we go to see Ezra together, and I promise I won't kill you. And he actually kept his word. I was
Bring
actually
harm
surprised.
to her. He promised not to bring harm to her.
Well, that's all right. Yes.
That is a difference.
No, there is a difference. You're absolutely right. And he did also, he kept his, he kept his.
Shin was when Shin came back and Sabine gave Balin the map. Shin was force choking her and he ordered her to stop.
And I keep my promises. And then that's when he dug his lightsaber into the map, and it exploded. Um, and they went to the shuttle, to the hyperspace ring, and that's when Hera and her squadron, Phoenix Squadron, came in, do, 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 and they tried to take down. Guess what happened? Well, they went into hyperspace and nearly killed all of them.
Yep. And I'll be honest. When they were showing each of the Gold Squadron, it was Gold Squadron, right?
I thought they called themselves Phoenix Squadron.
It was Phoenix Squadron, right? Um,
I'm assuming it's what's left of the squadrons.
well, yeah, probably, or a new one. Yeah, no, they were the part of the original squadron. So yes,
No, 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 agreed. But I don't think they were necessarily all part of the same squadron.
yeah. One of the ships I'll be honest, I was expecting Zeb to be there, so I was a little disappointed that I didn't see Zeb in at least one of the ships. Um,
I'm not surprised.
I know you don't think he's going to make an appearance, but I just feel like he has to.
No, I
it
think
doesn't
he's going to make an
necessarily have to
appearance.
be
I
a
just
big
don't think
role.
he's going to have a big role in this. I think for me, what's going to happen is we're going to see him towards the end of the series, because I think the CGI for him is too much. And you understand what I'm saying?
I don't. I mean, I really don't see why. I mean, this is Star Wars. Everything about this is CGI. I mean, we saw one of the General Akbar's species. I don't know if that was actually him or not, but we saw one of his species in this episode. Uh, I mean, Hera is, her thing. I don't know if she's CGI or wearing a costume, whatever.
No, I think most of them are wearing costumes
So why can't Zeb wear a costume?
because he's just too big. I don't think it
So-
works. I think it's going to be like it would be similar to the Gundams or Gundams. Well, how do you pronounce that name?
Oh,
Darth
the Moonians, the Jar Jar's people.
Jar Jar's people. Yeah. What are they called?
Crap.
I thought they were Gundams.
Gungans.
Gungans. Okay. I was thinking of the anime Gundam.
I know you were.
I was hey, I was in the right ballpark.
No, you were. You were closer than most instances.
I will say this: I knew I wasn't right, but I knew I was going to get to where I needed to go.
You knew I'd get you there.
Yeah, pretty much. So the whole thing for me is, I just think he's just too much CGI that I think they can't afford it. But not only that, I don't think his presence is going to be that great until the end when they come back together. You know what I'm saying?
So I guess my point is like I said, I don't think he's gonna be a big role. I think he's gonna make some kind of appearance.
Oh, I agree.
I think it's fitting for him to make an appearance, and I felt like that part was a good time for him to make an appearance because
I disagree
there's-
because I feel like that's because now Hera's going to be joining Ahsoka when she comes back to find Sabine.
So my thing was that because the the New Republic agent was with Hera, and last we saw Zeb was with him. I thought they were gonna, I thought he would make an appearance with them to go find their friends.
No, see, I disagree because I feel like he wouldn't. I feel like because of that, Hera was there, right? Meaning like Hera was the one that kind of got him in. So, meaning like in this mission, I mean. So I feel like because of that, Zeb would have been there for sure, and we would have already seen him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like he would have already been there when Ahsoka was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't have been just. He wouldn't have not seen them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so for me, I knew he wasn't going to be there.
yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah.
For me, it's going to be one of those things where it's like that he's gonna make an appearance, and I agree with you, but I think it's going to be towards the end.
Either way.
But yeah, no, I get it. But so anyway, then the episode ends with Ahsoka in the world between worlds.
She wakes up into the world between worlds, which
And there's some guy there, which I still don't know how she got in there.
that's one of the big theories going around, and so much is going on with people's theories, and
I mean, the idea, the one that makes the most sense to me is Anakin pulled her out.
yeah, Anakin makes an appearance in the world between worlds. You need to make that sure that's said, and
He's in the world between worlds. He
So
is
just-
in the world between worlds.
so like you said, when Ahsoka first comes to, and I see her in the world between worlds, I'm just like, oh my god! I start freaking out because I'm like, this is awesome. They actually brought it to live action, and then I hear, hey Snips, it's been a long time, and I'm like, no, and you turn around, and I'm expecting a Force Ghost Anakin, and
I
it's like a
agreed.
Force Ghost.
I was not expecting a full-fledged Anakin to be there. Yeah, that threw me off completely.
I'm like, no, I'm like, no way. I'm like, what is going on?
And that's how the episode ends. That's it. That's how it ends. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I audibly yelled at the TV because
I know you hate cliffhangers, and this is all been all cliffhangers.
I will say this. I will say this. It does make me want to watch the show more. I get it. I understand the point of a cliffhanger. I do get it. But man, when you drop something like that and then just leave it for a week, I'm not happy. I'm just not happy because it's like I need to know. You know what? I've been definitely spoiled in the sense of like with Netflix, Hulu, Disney
Drop
Plus,
everything, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, like everything's out right away, and this one isn't, and I cry a little on the inside, and it hurts. It honestly hurts.
And
And
I want to just say that this is also the instant where I instantly pulled out my phone against my better judgment and text you whatever I said. And
so, like I said, I didn't real. So I thought when the Inquisitor went down and was turned into smoke, and I realized it was the Night Sister's magic. I thought that was the moment Mike texted me, and then I made it to the end, and I was like, oh, and then I waited till the credits were over because I was like, there's got to be an after credit scene. There's got to be an after credits. There has to be an after credits scene. And then the credits rolled for me to watch Andor, and I was
okay.
like, no. I was like, it's over. I was so sad. So let's talk about theories, and then we're going to move on to DC. So obviously, the idea is that they're going to be the. I don't want to say the gods of the Force, but like we saw, like the handlers of the Force in Clone Wars. It was the sister was the light, the brother was the
Oh,
dark,
okay,
and
yeah,
the father was the balance.
yes, yep.
So I think what throws me off was a theory that really messed with me was obviously Ahsoka is the light
We know this. We saw
because
that in
her
Rebels.
essence was literally put into her.
Yep.
Anakin thinking he would be the dark side. A lot of people are saying he's the new father. He's the balance because
Yep.
he's Anakin and Vader. He's both.
Yep. He is the balance. So, as we know, these what are they? The Morse gods of Star Wars. Is
Yes,
that
I think that's what they're called.
So obviously not legit like Morse gods. It's this universe's first style, which is whatever. So
It's the
as we
closest thing
said,
to gods in Star Wars.
yeah, and so obviously, like you said, Ahsoka is the light side of the Force. Um, Anakin has always, according to the prophecy, is meant to bring balance to the Force, and as we saw, we assumed that would be the Jedi assumed that would be to eliminate the Sith. Um, and
Turns out it might not be the case. He might be
and
now the chosen one, more
Yep,
so
and
than
so
ever.
so in retrospect that actually means bringing balance in terms of keeping things balanced. So despite what the Jedi wanted, that would actually mean wiping out the Jedi Order to just remnants, so that way it's a balanced. Sith and Jedi are equal because before it was severely one-sided.
Agreed.
So being like you said, Anakin possibly being the father makes perfect sense because he is the balance between the light and the dark. He brought balance to the Force. He has experienced both the light and the dark side, and
But before that theory came out, I would have thought he would have been the dark side of it because
I
of how
thought
his interaction with the brother
yes.
in Clone Wars.
I just want to give credit to the person that I saw that to, who I then sent it to you because you never know.
Wasn't
I
our
wanna-
idea. We're not trying to take
No, it
credit.
is not an idea. This one I saw was his Twitter handle was Big Screen Birkin, which
Ew.
props to you for coming up with that theory. I saw that and I instantly was like, this is actually a perfect theory.
No, honestly, it is incredible. And then, so I looked up this theory after you sent it to me, and I saw a bunch of pictures of who would be on the dark side.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't a big fan of what I saw.
As in, like you didn't like it, or as in
It
you
didn't make sense because they put somebody there who, in my opinion, has already been taken out. They used the Inquisitor. But then again, they also showed what looked like possibly Ezra
He's
in a
going
couple
back
of
to
them,
that
which I
again.
wasn't a huge fan of. Because
Hmm.
if anything, if I had to put three people in it, right, it would have been Ezra, Anakin, and Ahsoka. But it would have been Anakin the Dark, Ahsoka the Light, and Ezra in the middle. Would have
Hmm.
been my thought originally. It
Yep.
does make sense that now thinking about it, Anakin being in the middle, I get that piece because he's been on both sides, and now that he's got no influences on him, or he shouldn't have any influences on him, he can keep the balance of both light and dark.
So the people were thinking that this is more possibly the sun because at the end of the episode you hear Vader's theme playing in the background. So it leaves the question of why was Vader's theme in the back?
Yeah,
Um,
because that's another thing too. It's one of those things where it's like it's really tough to figure out because he's got to be both.
which so if this is Anakin, which Anakin is it? Is it Anakin pre Vader, post Vader, or is this Vader? It might not be Anakin.
I mean, valid. I don't know. It's really tough. Yeah. I mean, we won't know until the next episode, and
So
that
going
I
off
think.
of your thing about how the Inquisitor was taken out, personally, because of the fact that he was brought back from the Night
Oh no,
Sister,
he could be brought back again. I know that.
that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if he's going to be brought back because I feel like
I'm assuming he
um,
can be.
I feel like he had such a big hype around him before that he might not be actually gone. If he is, fine. I would be a little bit disappointed because I did kind of expect a little bit more out of him. Not necessarily being like, wow, like we were talking about how like one of the theories was that he was Galen Merrick. I don't necessarily, I personally don't really want that because I don't
Well,
want to
it's
ever
not
see
that.
evil. He could still be.
I don't
Um,
know. I don't know. I thought they could only do their own people, bring their own people back from the dead.
well, no, he could have been like a Night Brother, and then they bring him.
Oh, now I understand. Now I understand.
My
Yes.
personal thing is I don't want to see Galen Merrick or Starkiller in canon because in Legends he is like one of the most overpowered. He is the most overpowered character in that universe, and I don't think it would be translated over well into canon because everyone has
He'd
such
be too
high
powerful.
expectations out of him that we've
Then he'd have
seen
to.
what
He'd
his
also have to lose.
yeah, exactly. Well, he lost in Legends, but it's because he didn't know how to control his power.
No, but you understand what I'm getting at in general. But like
But
people would
it's
like.
one of those things where it's like we've gotten our head canon and we have our own version of what he is, and we've seen it at least two times already in the canon in wow in the canon universe that when they bring characters back that people already have their expectations for and it's not hit those expectations, it's an instant character ruining it. We saw it with Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy, and we saw it with Boba
With
Fett
Boba Fett.
in the Book of Boba Fett. Um, it doesn't end well. So
Did
I don't
we
want to see him
before
in.
before we continue? Did we talk about what Mark Hamill said about Luke Skywalker in the sequel series?
We have, yep.
Okay,
That
never mind.
he does not support the character because
No,
that is not
he
his
said it
Luke
wasn't his
Skywalker.
Luke. It wasn't his
Yep,
Luke. He said it was somebody else's Luke,
yep.
which I find incredible. Thinking about it, just because of all the work that he's done. But you know, money's money. I mean, I can't blame him for it. But I do get his point. But yeah, so there's a lot of theories happening. We're not going to know until Wednesday, which so by the time this airs,
Tuesday.
the episode Tuesday. By the time this airs, the episode will already be out, but we will not be talking about it until the following podcast, just so you guys are all aware. But overall, we're very much excited about it. Um, Mike will be seeing it on Tuesday. I
Hopefully,
will be hopefully seeing it Tuesday. If not, I will be seeing it Wednesday, like I always do.
yep.
Um, I just, you know what it is? In my head, it's Wednesday, and it's a tough change. But I do understand why they did it because of Loki.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, that's right. This will air in between. In between, this will
Now
still be
there won't
going.
be a lot of episodes like
It'll only be
connecting.
what, like one or two episodes. So
Yeah, but I think they don't even want to worry about competing with it because it's not
no,
gonna.
definitely because
For
I
obvious.
mean, actually, now thinking about it, this might. How many? We got 4 episodes left. 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
5, 6, 7, 8. Oh,
So the season finale, this finale of this
the
will
season
be the
finale is the
premiere.
season premiere.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that is definitely a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so I mean, they definitely needed 2 different days.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, you're not going to get much. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on that week. That's going to be hell. Um, but anyway, so that's pretty much what we have to talk about for Star Wars because we really just are speculating at this point. Anything you want to add before we
there's
move on?
so many possibilities. There's people talking about this is going to bring in like this is going into the multiverse, which
It could.
I personally don't think we will be. It's possible.
I
Um,
think they will hint it. I don't think it will be explored. That is my that is my thought process on it. I feel like it's going to be mentioned, and she's going to, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be some sort of choice, and I feel like
I,
she's going
I
to go against it.
I think I think the way it goes in Star Wars is that the universe runs on one timeline. There are not alternate universes, at least at the moment. There
All
are
right,
no
let me
alternate
rephrase it this way.
universes.
She will then be able to change time. She'll be offered a chance to change time, and she
I
will
can
not
say
do it.
that. Yes, I can say that. I can say there's a chance to alter. Oh, Jesus.
Sorry.
um, but I think it's if we're gonna go into the multiverse in Star Wars, one, I think it's too soon because we're only just starting to branch out into new lore for the universe.
I will
That
agree.
then going into this other stuff. I think if we're going to do a multiverse saga of for Star Wars, not do what like the MCU is doing because one, it's been around for over 10 years now. So we've already been going through this universe. But for Star Wars, I think we just keep it to a simple like what if series where you just like small things go
Yeah,
into, oh, this is what would happen if they did this. I don't want to
this is
see
what would happen if Leia learned the Force.
yeah, like if Luke failed to defeat Vader and Leia had to step up to take on Vader, like what would have happened?
No,
Like
no,
those kind
agreed.
of things. And
Um,
I don't want to go into like super like what the MCU is doing where it's like a whole saga. I just want little snippets to have like, oh, this is impossible,
would you
that
be
kind of stuff.
mad if she walked the world between worlds, and as we saw these portals, we saw Leia taking down Vader? You know what I mean? Where it wasn't like, hear me out. Like you're walking by and you're seeing it as a picture, like that could have happened. You know what I'm saying? Would that bother you? Because it's not being explored.
I don't know because the world between worlds isn't a multiversal like universe. It's just it's the it all time exists. It exists outside of time, so it's like that. It's not like the TVA where it controls the timeline. It just is. It is the timeline.
But then why did Palpatine want it? Didn't he want it to control it? You
Yeah,
get what I'm
you're right.
saying? Like it did.
No, you're right.
So it's like I will agree with you. I don't know what will happen if something changed. I will agree with you on that. Where I don't know necessarily. I don't think there'll be a split. Maybe it's just a complete change, meaning like the timeline is now different. It's not like in another universe. It is just no longer exists. It's just this, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I can understand that piece. But what I'm getting at is there's got to be a way that things change because why else would Palpatine want the power of it?
You are correct with that. You are correct.
Because to me, there would be no other reason why Palpatine would want it, unless he could control time, in some sort of capacity. I'm not saying they control all time, although he would think he could.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so in general, I mean, I don't think they're going to go into the full multiverse thing. I actually didn't even think that. I think it's going to be more of like a training segment where Ahsoka learns the Force in a way that she has not ever before. Please don't fall.
Okay,
Um,
so I just looked it up to be specific. So, the world between worlds, also known as the Virgins Scatter,
which I think we
is a
knew that.
mythical plane within the Force that served as a collection of doors and pathways existing between time and space, linking all moments in time together.
Yeah, so you would be able to change it. If somebody got in there who was of, how do I want to put this? Of evil intent, you would go back and change things
Yes. Yep.
because you would find a doorway to where you want to be and then do what you need to do.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean,
It's
I can promise you
It
that
is
it's never
interesting.
been
I
stated. Nobody's talked about what would happen if something changed, but something there has to be some sort of thought that things can change, or else Palpatine would not have even wasted his time going in
No,
trying to go in there.
you are correct with that. It's interesting. I'm just
I
very
agree with
nervous
you that
about
it might not have like the stereotypical multiverse point of view, but multiverse in the
it might.
sense of there's an infinite opportunity of change.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Either
like,
way, I
but
cannot wait for episode 5. I cannot wait
I'm
to see what happens. You are
I
correct.
don't, I don't think I'm mentally prepared. Like, realistically, we could spend literally the entire episode talking about theories, and frankly, none of them and all of them could be correct, and we'd be pretty much wasting everyone's time. I mean, not that I don't want to talk about them because we did touch on a bunch of them, but I think we can lay it to rest because I think we would be spending over 2 hours on this alone. Agreed?
Oh, this is
100%. And that's just on this episode alone. You know what I'm saying? This is not even. We're not
This
even.
episode could be like
Not
a,
even the
like
whole episode, just the last 2 minutes.
yeah.
5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Like
That
that,
could be
seriously.
No,
It was
there's
very
so
good.
many possibilities that they can go. We say this a lot with all these episodes. Like there are so many possibilities that they
This is
can
the
go
first time
in.
that there's actually an infinite amount of possibility.
Yeah,
Like before, there was a lot of possibilities. This one is the first one where there's literally an infinite amount of possibilities, and it's because of where she is.
yeah, and
And all of them are
I'll be
plausible.
yeah. No, they are until we see something that happens. Anything is possible.
Yep.
And
Until the future happens, until the future becomes the present, it's not. Anything can happen.
but I'll be honest. Was not expecting to see the world between worlds in this episode, so I am pretty excited about that.
I agree.
Uh, I am so looking forward to seeing getting some answers about Anakin. Like I said, one of the theories that the guy
Do you
on
think
Twitter had.
I'm interrupting you, and I apologize, but this just
No,
came
go
into my
ahead.
head.
Go ahead.
Do you think? I really hope this isn't the case because I feel like it'll be way too much of a ex machina. Where what if she used the world between worlds to get where Ezra and Thrawn is?
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean it is
Maybe
possible.
it's because she could go anywhere. I
Yeah,
mean, like she could get there before the crew gets there.
that is true. She could. I mean she
She has
absolutely
all
could.
she literally has all the time in the world.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
and I hate saying it that way, but it's 100% fact.
No, it's true. I mean she very much could. She could get to that episode. She could find where Thrawn and Ezra are and get over there. Um,
I did anyway. Like I said, we really cannot talk anymore about this, mostly due to the fact that we will spend way too much time on it.
No, yeah, there's so many theories, so many things. Personally, I like the theory that the Twitter that said mentioned earlier that
Oh no,
he
I
came
agree
up.
with you. That's
I
that's
think he
honestly
came
out
up
of
with.
all the ones I've seen, because I've seen a bunch of them. That is
Yeah,
my most favorite one of them all so far. Um, there's just the one piece that's missing, um,
which is
which is the dark side.
yeah, which we do not know who the dark side is.
No, no,
Uh,
agreed. But what I'm saying is that is
Although, I mean, technically, we could say the dark side is just Palpatine.
yeah, true. But I think what I'm getting at is we don't know yet. Where obviously, the only reason why I'm hesitant, or Vader him is its own entity.
So Vader is his own entity, and Anakin is both.
Well, no, because Vader killed Anakin. They're two different people.
Okay, all right. I'll give that to you. It definitely could be a possibility.
I'm not saying
We're-
it's going to happen because it would make more sense that it's
I don't
Palpatine.
know how valid it
But
would be.
Palpatine, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine him being involved. He's
So
too powerful.
I'm not saying that he's going to be involved. I'm just saying that he could be the evil. Like, I mean,
Okay.
he could be the
I'm
sun.
just thinking like you need the three of them, and the thing that makes the most sense to me that would be make sense to me would be having Ahsoka as the light, Anakin as the balance, and then Vader as the dark. And I know it sounds weird, but like realistically, when people talk about those two people, they're two different people.
No, they are.
And
They
I
are.
know, and I know they're the same person, like obviously, but we're in the world between worlds, and let's be honest, those are two different sides of a coin.
No, you are correct. It's possible. I'm not gonna. I can't shut it down. I can't shut it down. So
No, we can't shut it down until we see the episode. Really, I mean that's really
yeah,
right. Because until we see the rest of this season or Caesar series, we can't knock anything down because all of it is factual or all
yeah.
of it is possible. I shouldn't say factual. It is all possible, and I think that's what scares me. Now I'm gonna stop us. I know it's me this time and not you. We are moving on to DC. Oh no, I lied. We are
The
moving
boys.
on to Gen V.
Yep.
So Mike, you saw the trailer last, so you talk about it.
All right. So
Most recently, I should say.
yeah.
'Cause
So
I'm afraid I'm going to forget some important details.
well, we see them be the. We're getting a new cast of characters coming in with new powers, new people, new powers. They
And
are a bunch of kids, teenagers, young adults, whatever.
early
Um,
20s, because I think they're supposed to be college age, because it's supposed to be a
yeah,
college.
I was gonna say it's gonna be college, so it could be anywhere from like 18 to like early 20s sometime. They are in college. They are learning how to control their powers and become a dandy old superhero. Um,
Correct. But
as
specifically a Vought superhero.
Vought, funded by Vought. um, so as we're going through the trailer, they're showing a bunch of different powers, a bunch of kids doing a bunch of things. They're talking about
Some
getting
of the grossest things I've seen in the trailer, and I am terrified because that's what they're showing in the trailer.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's the part that kills me is the fact that what we saw in the trailer was gross, like bloody, and I was like, that's not even the worst thing. I know it.
So we see a bunch of kids using their powers. Like there's one guy that gets into like basically he's a human torch.
There's a
can
girl that shrinks.
girl that shrinks. There's one
There's a
that can
girl that
control blood.
yeah, and it's unclear if she could control her own blood or all blood,
I think
um,
all blood.
which we will find out later, obviously
Yes,
for sure.
I'm gonna from how it seemed like in the trailer. I'm gonna say
It looked
all
like she
blood.
was controlling anyone's blood,
Yep.
which is fair, which is also scary.
Then there's one guy that
How
had
do you
seems
make
to
that a
have.
superhero? No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, no, seriously, like how do you make like that's Scarlet from Mortal Kombat? How do you make that a good guy? You know what I'm saying?
I,
Like, from a
I'm not.
marketing perspective, right? At Vought, she would be the least likely. She would be powerful. Don't get me wrong, and you want to hire her for like to deal with like the bad heroes, but like she couldn't be a full fledged hero.
I mean, it seems like in this universe in general. I mean, in actuality, from how it seems in this universe, not how it seems, it is in this universe. The public opinion doesn't really care about what these heroes do as long as they are safe. So if this person can control blood and stop bad guys by controlling their blood, who cares? They're safe.
But even still, so you take it this way, right? Right? Think of it like this. It's one thing if you, I don't know. It's weird to me, on the sense of, you know what? You're right because I mean, the heroes have killed bad guys before, and nobody had a
In
problem.
the very first episode, when the bad guys are
The armored truck,
very robbing the truck,
and he melts
Homelander
them.
melts the gun into his hand, and then the other guy he lifts him up, throws him in the air, and the guy, as they're taking selfies, as the kids are
Slams
taking
into a
selfies,
car
he lands
behind
in
him.
the truck.
No, true. So I guess you're right. I guess it doesn't matter. But you understand what I was getting at. It was just to
I
me,
do
it's like
understand your point. I do understand
I
your
was trying to
point
think of
where
it from a marketing point of view, but I guess you're right. But realistically, they would probably rather her not be a hero and rather work for Vought in a different way because she could control the heroes.
I agree. I agree. But
But
anyways,
there's a
they
lot of
talk about.
powers that we see. There's
I
a
think
girl. There's a girl. The tiny girl was in somebody's brain and came out
yep.
their ear, which I was not happy
There's a
with.
guy with seams that has super strength because in this one
Yes.
of the scenes he's locked up and punching. So, anyways, continuing with the trailer, it turns out that not all these kids are doing what they're supposed to do. Whether it's
Shocking.
um, whether they're breaking the rules or just not wanting to do what they're told, they seem or let's put it like this. When I was watching the trailer, I don't know if the kids like knew what they were signing up for, and when they found out, they were against it. So they are getting locked up. Those who are not willing to participate are getting locked up and being
Oh, what was the name of the project? What was
I
the name of the
forget
place? You know what I'm talking about?
the university.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about what's in the woods. What's it called?
Oh, I forget.
Yeah, but
I
you know what I'm
forget.
talking about. So
Yeah,
there's a place and it has a name. It's like the woods, or it's
yeah.
the hideout, or it's the.
Hideout. I think it's the hideout. I think it's the hideout.
I don't have
I think
everything in there, but there's something in there.
so. Any of
Um,
the college kids or any of the kids that seem to not be following the rules get taken there for. I'm going to assume for rehabilitation.
yes.
So we find out that they're going that it seems like that's going to be the premise of the kids get all this newfound power and they don't know what they're doing and they're just doing what they're supposed they feel like doing. College kids with power. What do you expect?
It's worse than the adults, in my personal opinion. Um, I'm assuming. I am
Yeah.
assuming. The other thing too is the Human Torch looking guy. He is actually a junior, and the Blood Girl, I believe, is a freshman.
Okay.
I we don't know.
They talked about how the Human Torch dude ends up getting his winky shriveled. It's like a shriveled sausage.
I forgot about that. I guess. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. Um, I'm very much looking forward to it. Minus that. I can't with you. You know what? I'll give it to you. You got me. Um, with the size matters earlier, and now this one, you win. Well, no, we're even. We're even. You haven't won. We're even. But no, in general, this series looks good. I am very curious because we see some recurring characters. We see Ashley, and we see who else do we see? There
The
was a few.
guy, the guy, the movie producer that
Yeah, yeah,
Ashley's
yeah. I knew
going.
there was another one. So we see those two, and those are the only two that we know for a fact that are going to have a bigger role in the show.
We saw the government agent who
Yes, yes,
blows up people's heads.
yes. We did see that
Nadia.
the congresswoman,
Yeah, I forget her name.
but I know who you're talking about. You're right. So we see those three. So it is connected, and it sounded like to me, and I could be wrong on this, but at one point they were talking about how they found out that they're just made by their parents, like they were paid for. And I don't know if that's like some people still had it as a secret, and like it's being reintroduced again.
Yep.
Because I'm wondering if in this school environment they kept things very hush hush,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which
Seems like it.
sounds like it wouldn't be that surprising to be done. And then yeah, so that's gonna be a blood filled show, and I'm looking forward to it. Mike's partially looking forward to it, and no, honestly, we're both. I think the one thing was Mike didn't realize it existed for a while, or didn't know when it was coming out, and I was like, it needs to come out already, and it's coming out this month, so very excited about it. All right, so we are now. Anything else you want to add?
No, no. Honestly, it's in the next episode. I don't know if we're going to be able to have time to talk about it because it comes out the 29th, and I don't know how if we'll be able to include it in the next podcast or if it'll have to be in one after.
Probably. I'd be cutting it close, and not impossible. We would have to do it like early Saturday, which I know you can't do.
Unless it rains.
True. We'll play that one by ear. But for right now, the plan is we will probably not,
Yeah.
which is not the end of the world. But anyway, that being said, let us move on to DC. where we talk about the final episode of season 1 of My Adventures with Superman. So this was exactly what I thought was going to happen, with a twist at the end.
Yeah.
So for the most part, this episode was, we find out who the general is, which is
Lois Lane's father.
yep. So that wasn't a huge shock to us. We kind of figured it, and they hinted it heavily throughout the entire series so far. And then the big thing for me was, so it was very awkward with everyone being at Thanksgiving, and the way, oh gosh, Jimmy is hilarious because so before this all happens, all of them are now reporters for the Daily Planet. They've moved up because they were awful interns, so they decided they would rather be reporters, which is the funniest way of getting a job, in my opinion, ever. Basically, you are the worst interns we've ever had here, and this is what happens. And then they showed, like, they were the front page news, and so now they're all
You are so bad at being a temp that we just had to make you a permanent because you were so bad at being a temp.
You can't do what you're told, so might as well add you to the list. So anyway, so then they go to Thanksgiving at the Kents, which Martha and Jonathan are hilarious in this. Jonathan spent the entire time in front of the oven watching the turkey.
Making sure the turkey's ready. It was great.
Martha hates Lois's dad, which is hilarious. You know, he saved the entire... I saved dinner. I saved my outfit. Like, whatever he said, he was just like, Mom, shut up. Now. And then they start pulling Jimmy away and talking to him when he finally gets there, because he had to be asked to stay later. So when he finally comes in, they're all pulling him to the side, telling him all, like, the secrets. So Clark tells him about, oh my God, her dad's the general. He's like, well, have you told her? No, how am I supposed to tell her? He's like, well, you got to tell somebody. And then Martha pulls him to the side. You know, I really don't like Lois's dad. You know, I like a lot of people, but he just rubs me the wrong way. And then he gets pulled then Jonathan pulls him and he goes, you know, I'm really worried about this turkey. I don't think it's going to be up to temp for dinner. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? It was the perfect amount of comedy and drama all at the same time.
I don't know. Is this possible to pause somehow?
I guess we can.
I'm getting a phone call from my from my parents.
So yeah, Jimmy was going around, bouncing around, and everything else. So
I just love the Jimmy coming in, and he comes in like trying to he's
trying to explain his news.
He's got some great news,
and he cannot tell anybody.
And he can't tell his news.
No, and I feel so bad for him because it is big news. I give him credit for it. But anyway, so he gets bounced around and everything else. But one of the big things that happens is now Jimmy pulls both Clark and Lois outside, basically stating, like, we all need to talk. You know, I grabbed all your stuff, and that's when the ball comes out that has all the information on the other Superman. And it opens up, and it's the green kryptonite. Clark falls down, and that's when the ship activates. And that ship, I forget how big it is. Because that thing is massive. So, it's so big that... surprisingly, the general sees it. Who knew, right? So,
and he thinks
the
Ground
invasion
Zero is happening again, or
Yes.
0 Day.
0 Day is happening again. So he starts calling for backup and everything else. Clark gets his parents out of there, and what happens next is the fact that Clark sees what happens and everything else in the orb. And he closes it, they close it up and everything else, and Clark understands what's going on. So as the ship is reacting to the idea that there's a green kryptonite trying to kill him, a bunch of robots pop out, and it starts to become basically a free-for-all. So Jimmy, Lois, Clark, and the General are all in this corn maze after these robots. Now Lois avoids them somehow. I still don't know how, but she's Lois. And Jimmy figures out that hey, this green stone kills Clark. They're destroying the robots, and he takes out a lot of them. So
It's interesting that the I feel like it has to just be some kind of representation, but like then they like when they get touched with the kryptonite, it still gets like the kryptonite grows on them.
yeah, I don't know what that's about. I'm wondering if it's like their interpretation of how the sun radiation combined with like what happens with it when it mixes with the green kryptonite.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's like their like yes, I understand like you would see the green veins and I get that piece. But like the growing of the kryptonite makes it seem like it has to do with the reaction between the sunlight and the reaction with the Kryptonian and the green kryptonite.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We don't know that for a fact. It could be just for visual effects.
Hmm.
Um, so he goes up into the sky when the spaceship opens up a portal to what I'm assuming is Krypton, and
Same.
the ships start a coming in.
So I'm wondering now, thinking back on it, I'm wondering if it's not Krypton, because I'm assuming Krypton is destroyed at this point, because just like it usually is. Um, I'm wondering if this is the Phantom Zone that they are trying to get out of.
That is interesting.
you, you
That
okay
is
over there?
that is interesting because I was not expecting that. I'm very impressed by that. But
Because
anyway, he opens it.
a lot of times when we see Zod, at least in recent
He's in the
iterations
Phantom
of
Zone.
them,
Yes, you're right.
he's in the Phantom Zone, and he's just trying to get out because Krypton's destroyed.
No, and I
Uh,
agree with you. So that being said, you're absolutely correct. But anyway, so he lifts up the ship. He then breaks into the ship and shuts it down by using the green kryptonite. We're nearly dying doing so.
mhm.
His dad puts him in a pod to shoot him out. And what happens is apparently the green kryptonite destroys the ship,
Yeah,
which then which
destroys the
destroys the
robots, why not the ship?
yes, correct. So that happens, and then then the portal closes, and only a piece of the ship gets out, and it is cut off.
Yep.
So we then find it, Clark down. The general comes over to kill him. Lois stops him, and he calls off Amanda Waller and says it was a false alarm, and then he disappears. He just up and disappears. So then they have
Lois wounded him
yeah. So anyway, they then go back to Thanksgiving, and we find out that Jimmy made $5.8 million.
by selling his
Firebird.
following to the Daily Planet.
Yep. Yeah. And then the
just,
episode.
I just
So,
love that he's
so
just
he's been
like, oh
trying to
Jimmy, what
tell
you
everyone
news?
for a while too. And the other thing that kills me too is the fact that so the episode ends with us seeing the portal from the other side,
Yep.
and everything's on fire. Um, and the ship gets slammed shut and destroyed. And we see a creature that is a robot that goes down to what I'm assuming is. It's too bulky to be a Kryptonian, in my opinion. It
Oh,
gives me
you're talking like the armor, the
yeah.
armors.
It
Yeah.
gives me Doomsday vibes, even though I know it can't be Doomsday. But
So
I'm
I'm
talking about
gonna.
like size and shape. It gives me Doomsday, like hulking looking.
No, I understand what you mean. I think
Ooh,
I just assumed it was General Zod. I'm assuming it is General Zod in this
a massive
in
suit.
this in a war suit.
Fair enough. And
Because
it very well could be.
because at the end of the episode, when if you know the subtitles, it said that he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And he said, "Oh, we're gonna go after them." And he's gonna say, and he said, "All will kneel before me," which is a
Which is something that
very
Zod says.
is a Zod
Correct,
catchphrase.
but what I'm getting at is I do agree with you that the
I do
idea
agree
gave me
with you that
Zod, but visually it did not look like Zod.
I
But you're
agree.
absolutely right because he took his armor.
When I was first seeing it, I agreed with you. I was like, "Oh, is this going to be like a Doomsday iteration?" And then
Yeah,
when
and
they
I was
said
not.
all
I
will
wouldn't have
kneel
been
before,
happy with it, but I'm glad
yeah,
that they went this way. But we don't know who it is, so we have to wait and see. And that's the end of the season. Overall, I thought it was great.
I thought I loved it.
This was
Like
actually really good. I
I
think the only complaint I have it was only 10 episodes, but I think it's because
yeah.
it was the first season. I think that they had to prove that people wanted to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you ready to move on to Marvel?
I just want to say that like as we said many times, that episode 1 through 5 was a good universe builder, and then 5
And they
on
just
just
they just killed it, and
they
in a good
took
way. In a good way.
they
And when I
took
say
it.
killed it, they did a great job.
Yeah, I was this show, like when I first proposed this show to you, I was like, it's something to
It's
watch.
gonna be a
DC
fun.
doesn't
It's
have
gonna be
much
a
going
fun
on.
little cartoon. It's not gonna be that bad, and it wasn't bad. It was just more
It
emotionally at times like, oh gosh.
it blew it blew my expectations out of the water.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
And
Agreed.
I mean, to be honest, I really shouldn't have expected that, because when it comes to DC, in actuality, like their animated stuff usually is on par.
No, agreed. Agreed. But it's just been because it was catered more towards kids. We didn't think it was
Yeah.
gonna be as good. All right, let's move on to Marvel. Let's talk about I Am Groot. So I'm gonna tell you my names of the episodes. Okay.
Your names.
Oh yeah, because I'm not using the real ones. So
Okay.
it's what if Groot was a parent? What if Groot got a nose? Groot's first time in the snow.
Okay.
Groot. What if Groot wanted ice cream? And what if Groot taught the Watcher a lesson? And the reason why I gave them all what ifs is because of the twist at the last episode with having the Watcher there. So we had in this series we had Rocket in one of the episodes, and we had the Watcher in an episode.
Rocket, kind of.
Well, he was technically in the episode. They gave him credit for it.
Yeah, because I mean, he said something.
He was in the snow one. So anyway, in the first episode, it was in the snow episode. The snow episode is where is Rocket is.
Right, that's the one with the hot chocolate. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, Groot.
I thought you meant like we actually saw him, but
No, no, no,
yeah.
no. We didn't physically see him. No.
Yeah.
In the first episode, Groot finds an egg and it hatches and it's a baby bird, and he tries to help it, and it doesn't go well. But then when
He
it
runs
finally
out of
finds
candy.
huh?
He runs out of candy.
Yeah. So in the end, the creature finds its mother and it goes away, and Groot's a little sad but so
Massive.
happy. It is huge and it can fly, which its wingspan does not prove that it should be able to fly. Exactly. But it was a cute little thing to see Groot trying to be a parent, and I thought that was hilarious.
He was sad to see it go, but then when he popped its head out and shot and spit out one of his candies, he was like, "I'm a proud parent."
Yeah. So then that was literally the first episode. So the second, these are all short ones, obviously. So the second episode was the nose. So Groot becomes a gamer, and he's been playing this game for so long that the battery's dead. And when he tries to get himself up, he's literally rooted into the chair, which I find hilarious.
Roots into the chair.
I find that hilarious. So anyway, so he leaves, and he somehow gets a nose, and then he starts smelling everything, realizing that he smells, sprays himself, everything. So he goes on to this big thing of smelling everything. Then he finds the batteries and goes back. But the problem is, when he gets back, he realizes that place smells worse than everything because of all the food that's left out and all of the just his stench on it.
Yep,
This is
his
the place
his
full of-
rooted bo.
Yeah. And so he decides the only smart thing to do is make a decision whether he's going to give up video games or give up his nose.
No. The decision was to clean or get rid of the nose, and
And so it looked like he was going to clean, and then he removed his nose.
yep,
With a feather
he
duster.
gets the mop and
The feather duster, actually.
feather duster. Yep. Gets the feather duster and sticks it in his nose and takes
Pops
his
it
nose.
up. And then he goes back to playing the video game. And that was the end of that one. It was kind of funny. So in the third episode, they go to a planet that has snow, and he builds a snowman, but he leaves his hot chocolate over by the ship. And he builds this snowman with a bunch of tech.
He builds the snowman, and then he goes back into the ship to give it appendages and uses the parts to add to it.
Yes.
And
then what
apparently that
happens?
brings the snowman to life and makes it a killer robot.
Yeah. And so he stops. So it goes to go back to the ship, and Groot's more worried about his hot chocolate than anything else. So he then hits it with a snowball in the rocket, and it shoots him up. It explodes like a firework.
Let's first point out that when he first threw the snowball at him,
He started
the,
lasering him.
the machine realized that by adding snow, he could become bigger and stronger.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of weird things. But yes, and then he goes to the ship, and that's when Groot hits him, and then the rocket goes up and it explodes like a firework. So then he then goes back to the ship, drinks his hot cocoa, hated it, throws it, and apparently hits Rocket Raccoon.
Him,
Because then you hear Rocket yelling,
dude.
Groot! And then the fourth episode is there is a space ice cream truck. Can't make this up.
How you gonna transfer the ice cream? Is
Exactly. So Groot wants one, and he has to find a gold coin. So he starts looking for it everywhere. So he gets one, it falls into the crate, and he can't get it out. So then he has to find another way of getting one. So then he finds this claw machine that has what looks like gold coins in it, breaks into it, gets one, and it turns out to be chocolate. So he gets all mad and knocks the whole thing over, and inside is surprisingly, or shouldn't be surprisingly, that there's gold coins in it. And then so all that's happening, and then he finally gets a gold coin, and he tries to get their attention, and they ignore him. I don't think they ignore him. I think they don't see him.
It was too late.
Yeah.
It was already basically out of the window view.
Correct. So then that's when he gets into a ship, flies to it, and then goes full force into it.
Goes right through it and gets all the ice cream.
So then he gets his little celestial ice cream. So there were two types of ice creams that were obvious to me. So it was the celestial one, and then it was Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them were just whatever. They could have been somebody, but I couldn't tell. And then as he's eating his ice cream and it's starting to melt, the Nova Prime, the Nova Corps, comes in and hunts him down.
Yep.
And then in the final episode, and I think the most important episode, is we have the Watcher watching Groot. And the Watcher is watching Groot, and basically is talking about how the seedling is going to grow and help the heroes in the future. And Groot's in this thing bouncing his ball, and he sets off every trap. And the Watcher's like, I've never seen anyone hit every single trap, every single one, like every single one.
And throughout the episode, he thinks he sees him. He's like,
Yeah,
there's no
and he
way.
doesn't.
There's no way. I exist outside the time. There's no way he sees me. What is going on? And, oh no! He just wanted the ball. All right, he's going to get the seed. He's going to get it. He's going to get at the seed. Wait,
Yeah.
no. The universe is doomed. What are we doing?
And then so he hits one trap that brings lava into it, and it's going to melt the seed. So what happens is Groot doesn't get there in time. Well, he does. He does, but he grabs his little bouncy ball instead, and then the whole thing melts and goes to kaput. And basically the Watcher's like, everyone's doomed. And then the temple falls apart. And then the Watcher's like, everything is over. And you just see Groot come out, and he's yawning. And that's when the Watcher goes, oh, maybe it was metaphorical. Maybe this is the seedling that's going to grow and become the hero that helps the heroes defeat great evil. And so it was basically the Watcher learning a lesson that not everything is so literal.
Yep.
And that's
we
it.
See him flying, and we see him flying away from the planet. And as he's flying away from the planet, Groot is saying goodbye to the Watcher, and the Watcher's like, I really hate that he's doing this.
Exactly. So overall, I will say this, that the beginning of that episode, we see the pod before we see Groot, and I thought we were going to see the origin of Groot.
Oh, okay.
But I was obviously wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was the end of that. I thought it was great. I thought it was a nice little pick-me-up to get us ready for Loki, because Loki's going to hit us in the feels hard, I'm assuming.
Cool.
Yeah, 100%. So, we're going to quickly play a game.
For Loki. I'm so prepared, but I'm not prepared.
No, agreed. So ready? I'm gonna play a game with Mike. I'm gonna give you the character's name and their universe, and I want you to guess what variant they are. So this is Steven Rogers of Earth 61311. What do you think this variant of Steve Rogers is?
Hey, what do you want me to say?
What is this one's gimmick? Like, does this one have a gimmick, and what is it? This one I don't think you'll get, but I know when I say it.
I want to be clear that I'm not going to get any of them, especially off of no hints.
I know. This is where it's fun. It's fun for me.
So specifically, his name is Steven Rogers.
Well, I mean, technically, aren't they all Steven Rogers? No, he goes by Steve Rogers.
Oh, he goes by Steve Rogers.
He still goes by Steve Rogers in this.
Okay.
But there's one thing that's very different about him.
Is he evil?
Yes.
Oh, he is? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
He is the Hydra Supreme, Steven Rogers.
I was about to say, is he?
So he's the Hydra Supreme, Steve Rogers.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Cool.
excellent.
Is this is this universe like is he just is this
It
Hydra?
turns out he was a sleeper agent for Hydra the whole time. So like a lot of the stuff's happened from the get go. Like a lot of it happened like just like 616, but then it turns out he was actually a Hydra sleeper agent the entire time.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Okay.
So he basically was like Bucky Barnes. When they
yes.
when they say the code word, he reverts to the Hydra agent.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. Stephen Strange of Earth 8311.
Excuse me?
Stephen. Yep. Stephen Strange of Earth 8311. So it's a variant of Doctor Strange, and I'm giving you his name in the universe. And 8311 should be familiar to you.
8311.
Yep. He's on the spectacular Spider-Ham.
Oh, okay. So is he like an animal variant?
Yes, but guess the animal, you jerk.
Steamin'. No, I'm trying to think.
Oh, I was like, don't tell me that's your guess. That's
No. I'm trying to think of like what animal would relate to that.
All right. When I say it, it's a play on the word doctor. I'll say that.
I am the word doctor.
Yeah.
Well, then I honestly, I really don't know.
Croctor Strange.
Huh?
Croctor Strange.
Croctor?
He's a crocodile.
That's funny, actually. That's actually really funny.
So he's from the universe where Spider-Ham is, and that version of Doctor Strange is actually a crocodile. And I didn't realize his name was actually called Steeman. That is hilarious.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to think of like an animal that, like I said, I'm trying an animal that is like.
No. The Steeman had nothing to do with his actual name. It was supposed to be a play on Steven for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final one is going to be Quentin Beck, who is also known as Mysterio. But this particular Mysterio is of Earth 807128.
Is this one a good guy?
No.
No. Okay.
He did something really bad.
Oh. Did he actually... Did he destroy the multiverse?
Nope. No, but he did do a lot of things. Or one thing really well.
I'm still guessing? Okay.
I'm going to give you just one
Huh?
I'll just give you one like actual guess. Like who do you think he did what do you think he did really well?
Did he kill Spider-Man?
No. So he actually made Wolverine kill the entire X-Men.
Oh, shoot.
This is actually the entry start of Old Man Logan. So like this is the universe of Old Man Logan, and it was actually Mysterio that made illusions that Wolverine thought that the villains were attacking the X-Mansion, but it turned out they were illusions of Mysterio, and they were all the X-Men.
Oh. So wait, it was... Okay, so this is a separate universe from like House of M.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So Mysterio tricked Wolverine into thinking all of the X-Men at the X-Mansions were invading forces of supervillains, making him murder them all.
Damn.
Yeah. Originally I was gonna do just Old Man Logan, but then I read that and I was like, no, 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 we're gonna talk about that one.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that
so
one's
that,
good.
yeah, that is a good one. All right, so now we are gonna move on to the character spotlights. Mike's gonna be first. I'm gonna go last, and then we're gonna
Okay.
be done.
Okay. All right. All right. So my character
Is
is a Superman villain.
okay.
She was she is a not she has not been featured in much mainstream media whatsoever. She was introduced in the Superman animated series, and she also appeared in later Justice League animated series. She is Volcana. She made her first appearance in Superman the animated series in Where There's Smoke. She this Volcana, who her human name is Claire Selton, she had the ability of pyrokinesis as a teenager. Her parents sent her to Metropolis Center for Paranormal Studies to help her learn to control and develop her powers, but was taken by government agents who stripped away her past and codenamed her Volcana and tried their hardest to turn her into a living weapon. She eventually escaped the agents, became a fugitive, and became a thief to survive. While attempting to leave Metropolis, she encounters and briefly fights Superman before escaping. She later seeks out Donnie, who is trying to help her escape Metropolis, but is captured by agents who originally captured her, led by Kurt. They took her to an underground facility with the intention of selling her to another government agent, who would dissect her and try to learn what makes her powers work and all that mumbo jumbo. In the meantime, Superman ends up finding the agency who kidnaps her, stops him, and she ends up going supernova and destroying the facility in an attempt to get revenge on Kurt. But Superman, being Superman, saves her at the last second and gets her. She gets knocked out, but he saves her and takes her far away from the facility, where he brings her to a deserted island and keeps her there so that way she does not do harm to herself or others. On that deserted island, he basically cares for her once in a while, bringing her food and water so that way she can survive and not die. That is in the Superman animated series. She also made appearances in the Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited series, where in that episode she appeared in Only a Dream Part 1. She was incarcerated in a Metropolis prison, taking advantage of the riots. She escapes with Firefly, and eventually she joins up with the
Legion of Doom or the
Secret Society.
Oh, okay.
My bad. So in the Justice League Unlimited, it is revealed that the government agent that ended up kidnapping her at the very beginning in Superman was Project Cadmus, if you remember from Superman. So in the series, she joins the Secret Society, and she ends up siding with Grodd. As we know, she sides with Grodd to take down Lex Luthor. Backfires. They end up going on the defensive, and eventually, after so much time, Darkseid comes in, wipes out the Secret Society, but only a select few survive. She is one of the select few that ends up surviving. And they end up working together with the Justice League to stop Darkseid from invading Earth. So she has the powers of pyrokinesis. She can coat her body in fire, project fire blasts without harming herself, and fly using the fire under her own power.
Nice.
The only thing about her powers, because she is fire, she needs oxygen. So less oxygen, less control of her powers.
She cannot go into space.
Yes. So, like I said, she was introduced in the animated series, which I know before I talked about Red X, who was also introduced in the Teen
Teen
Titans.
Titans.
Um, I just love these characters that are introduced in animated shows
And then come
and
in later.
come in later. Now, the thing about this character, she never really picked up popularity. So she was in the animated shows, but she actually only made two appearances in comics. Um, she was appeared in issues number 20 and 41 in the Superman Adventures comics, which are based on the DC animated universes. So
Oh, okay.
even though she like made comic appearances, it still was tied to her animated shows. Um, apparently, also, um, I don't know if this is in the new seasons because I haven't seen all of them. She has made appearances in the TV show Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay.
Um, so it must be
I,
one of the newer seasons, unless I just missed it.
or she might
So
have been just somebody that's like in the background.
mm, possible. Well, no, I don't remember seeing this. So this version is Hispanic and a member of the Legion of Doom who vomits magma when she gets nervous, and later becomes one of Poison Ivy's mentees.
Oh no,
So I know you're in the middle of watching, and I see you.
stalking me. But yes, I think I'm in the season. I'm season 2 or 3. I forget what I'm on.
I started watching season 4, and I never finished it. So I need to go back and finish it. And I think they're on season 5 now.
Yes. All right, you ready? Is that it, or is there more?
Nope, that's it. I just thought that was a cool, nice little character.
Okay. So now for me, there is a character that's in Loki, right? It was introduced in the comics in July of 1993, 2 months after I was born, 3 months after you. Can you name this character? I give you one guess and one guess only. And it's a character I have not talked about yet.
So the only hint that I'm getting is that it was born
And it's
three
from the
months after
Loki
me,
show.
3 months after me, 2 months after you.
And that it's in the Loki show.
And as an
It's
okay, thank
season
you.
1.
Thank you. What character? Um,
Take a guess. Come on. People are waiting.
is it no, it can't be him.
Why can't it be him? I don't even know who him is.
I know you don't. I'm gonna say the nerd behind the desk that has the Infinity Stones.
Incorrect. It's Eliath. Now, Eliath, my friends, is the temporal limbo. Okay? So, in the Loki show, it was the big cloud that ate everything.
Yes. So it was created. Okay, so it was created in '93 by
No,
Kang,
but
correct?
well, no. It was introduced in the comics in 1993.
Oh, okay.
So my apologies. It was I meant in the comics. I should have been more clear, but I think you understood it.
Yeah, now I understand it. I was
So
okay.
Eliath is the first being who broke free of the constraints of time. His empire was larger than that of Kang himself, stretching billions of years to before the rise of man on Earth. His domain is approximately 2 to 3 times as large as Kang's temporal empire. It is because Eliath that Kang never attempted to expand his empire vertically into more distant time eras and therefore extend only as far back as 2000 BC. Kang was afraid of him. Kang created a barrier preventing Eliath from entering his domain. After Kang was left on the brink of death, Ravonna assumed his identity and took over his empire. While investigating the eras earlier in time, she accidentally released Eliath, who then threatened Kang's former domain and all other temporal domains further up the time stream. Ravonna and Revelation were able to revive Kang, who provided the Avengers with the Chrono Key to use against Eliath, which was in reality Tempus, who, upon being released inside Alioth, grew to match it in power, locking the two in eternal combat. And later, Kang would as part of um, his abilities to keep his rival temporal empires occupied, weaken tempers so that Alioth would break through invading domains of the Congress reality. So basically, Kang used Alioth to kind of take out his enemies, which he does in the MCU. But I like the idea that this was a creature that Kang himself was afraid of, that he made a barrier to keep Alioth away from him.
Yeah,
And that
no,
Alioth is its own
that's really
entity.
cool. No, that is really insane. So
So
that's
we're going to talk
yeah.
about his powers really quick. Alioth is a trans-temporal entity existing across divergence of timelines as an enormous cloud, destroying all that it touches, causing massive temporal disturbances and devastation across entire dimensions. It can expand pseudopoda. I don't know what that means. To attack focal beings or locations, grow in. Oh, so it changes its size and shape to defeat its opponents, and grow in size and mass by absorbing the bodies of time travelers into its mass. Once it occupies a time period, it spreads out to engulf the adjacent realities. Alioth also negates temporal energy, preventing time travel through it to a time before it existed. Attempts to travel through Alioth usually result in absorption into its mass. So, its power grid, just because Marvel does the power grid out of 7, its intelligence is a 2, its strength is a 7, its speed is a 2/a 7 because it can teleport, its durability is a 7, its energy projection is a 5, and its fighting skills is a 2 because you don't need fighting skills to just land on somebody and absorb them.
That's true.
I mean, it's valid. I mean, it makes sense because you're like, well, it can defeat the Hulk, yeah, but it doesn't really fight it; it just absorbs it. So yeah, so that's Alioth. Definitely thought it was cool to find out that he was very different than what I was expecting.
Definitely.
He was its own entity. Like he's not a pet of Kang's. He's actually Kang's rival in a way. So definitely thought that was kind of cool. In general, very happy to see it.
It
Now,
makes me curious about whether it's going to be similar idea in in the MCU. If it's going to be if they actually make him his pet, or if he's going to be
something he has
um,
to capture and
yeah.
control. So
If
very
like
interested.
they locked it away as like a way to keep him away from his empire.
Correct, and that does make sense. So, very curious to see what happens. Overall, very happy. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We very much appreciate it. And as always, please like and subscribe below if you made it this far. We really appreciate it. Mike wants to, make a living. Have a good night, everyone. I thought.